And that's all I got.
Now they can't see the cleavage. Gotta get it higher. Tilt the phone down more. There you go. All right, 8 o'clock. This is where the actual live feed starts, and everything that we've talked about before that, we're cutting off. So you guys that were here to be a part of that, feel special. No, not really. We're just killing time. Letting people file into the room. So for those of you that are watching this recorded, this is a live feed for our Q&A sessions / live feed for our Patreon peoples. We do these on Tuesday nights, and they submit questions. I also take questions in the comments for the video on YouTube. So if you have anything you want us to cover, topics or questions, just leave them in the comments below. Hey, we've got a dog fight going under here.
Daisy.
Big head is so funny. All right, so getting to the questions of the Q&A session. And feel free to drop in. I love your contacts.
Thank you.
There's that black ring around the outside. She's got those contacts with like the ring around the outside of them. Makes the eyeballs look really dramatic. All right, so Logan Lowe asks, was there ever a time where you second-guessed your decision to start the photography business, or was it pretty much an instant success? I don't think I ever doubted it. It's rough in the winter, and especially the first couple of years when we didn't really have much of a catalog for winter business. So that was a little scary going through winter. First few years, pretty low income. Now we've got enough of a back catalog that we get enough orders trickling in during the winter and Christmas presents and things like that. Now after Christmas, just like every business really, the consumer spending just drops off, and we see that, as well on ours. So we have to plan for that, and that's where we're really excited, honestly. And we're going to have to work to keep it interesting, and keep you guys engaged. But during the winter, this Patreon thing could be a game changer for us, because we really stress wintertime, and just a little bit of help with the regular bills and stuff will go a long ways in the wintertime. So.
And it'll be a push for us to get out and do more winter activities that we've put off doing, or it's like
we
just haven't found the time to do. It's like, all right, now let's go do that. We got a reason to.
Yeah.
So, it'll push us to get out and do things that...
Because that's what's cool about this monthly thing. A lot of people, well, not a lot, but a few people were saying that they didn't care for automatic monthly billing, and they wanted to just do like a one-time fee. But in a way, that makes the creator kind of lazy, because once you've paid your one-time fee, where's the incentive really? So by potentially losing subscribers every month, if we don't keep this interesting, it motivates us to continue to pump content out there that's good. Of course, it has to be quality too, but we gotta hustle, and it makes us hustle a little more. But yeah, I mean, it pretty much took right off within a month of me going commercial. Now I shot for like 2 years and didn't charge anything when I started this business.
2001.
Yeah, 2001. It was really kind of a hobby, and people were like, take my picture and put it out there, because I want to download it, and you could make a living at this, So for 2 years I just worked on my technique and getting better gear on my own dime, and gave them away. And then when I decided to try and put them on a website for sale and work with a third party, which was photoreflect.com, it took off pretty quickly, and I had to quit my job. I was a material handler. I drove a forklift, and it didn't take long before I had to get away from that. So no, it wasn't really much doubt right from the get-go. It's been pretty steady, growth in business or whatever. So it's been good there.
No, I don't think there's been a time that you've regretted your decision to leave that secure job and go do something that's not always the most secure, because we depend on traffic flow, how many people come to the area, if the people even want the photos. There's a lot of factors, and it's not an extremely secure job like you were doing before.
Yeah,
And there's no
like-
regrets ever of leaving that
It
security.
gets scary sometimes, like when that rock slide happened and shut the road down. That's it.
2010.
You know, that's our income, and what do we do? You know, so that's what made. I was already kind of trying to diversify, but now I've really focused on diversifying things and not trying to rely on just that road for our livelihood. You know, we can get by on not selling photos on that road with all the other stuff that we do, and continue to try to spread that out. Mikey says, where do you see the future of the Dragon going? How or if has it changed? How has it changed? And are you happy with what you see? I don't know. It's sort of like this self-regulating thing. I've talked about this before. It's like if it gets too busy, then people get frustrated and stop coming. Then it gets fun again, and people start coming back out. So there's that. How has it changed? You know, when I first started doing it, it was more sport bikes. Not many cars, not many cruisers or touring bikes, and then it kind of switched to touring bikes or cruiser bikes, and we still see a lot of that, but it was really heavy with cruiser bikes for a long time, and now we're seeing it sort of go more of a car direction. But there's still a lot of bikes out there. They don't plan rallies quite like the car people do.
Not anymore.
Yeah, it seemed like we were seeing more, but it doesn't seem to be a thing anymore. It used to be like a Yamaha rally.
That was the first thing I was
R1s,
thinking.
R6s.
Was the first huge motorcycle rally that I was exposed to in 2003 was the R1 rally.
Yeah, and we just don't see that anymore. But there's a lot of bikes out there, and they probably easily outnumber
and
the
it
cars.
could have went down because at that time motorcycle forums were more of a thing, and as the motorcycle forums declined and when social media like Facebook became more popular, I think that's when we saw a decline in big motorcycle groups like that, and maybe an increase in car groups.
Yeah, which doesn't explain. That's why would the car groups grow? They had forums too. But I remember there used to be R1forum.com was one of the bigger rallies, and then the cruiser bikes, they had their Maggie Valley rally, which they still do.
The Two Strokes.
Two Strokes had their little rally, but they continue to be sort of a disappearing, machine. So, Rob Worley, you recently added a new Patreon level, which is great. Do you think there are additional levels coming, perhaps one-offs? I wanted to do that one for a long time, and I really wanted it to be like free photos, but there's no way with Photo Reflect for us to do that. They'll only allow us to do an 80% because they have to get their cut of the transaction, and if it gets too cheap, then they don't get enough of a cut to justify all of the pictures that we put on their service, because we definitely screwed the curve up for them. They have like, so this business, this third party that we use, Photo Reflect, they have like 30,000 photographer websites.
More than that now.
That's what they would claim, yeah. And we're one of the most high quantity websites that they storefronts that they host because of how many photos we put in our store. So they're mostly like weddings and portraiture photography that don't shoot high volume.
T-ball games.
And our guys, we're putting 50,000, 60,000 photos a week into our store, and that's putting a load on their servers that they have to deal with. So they love us, but they're also,
we challenge them.
We challenge their whole system, yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I don't have any ideas for other levels. I feel like that's sort of a stretch to ask a person to pay $20 a month, but I think it's worth it when you consider what you get with the photography, and it's especially geared towards like locals and regulars. Even if you're not a Patreon member or active on Patreon, don't care about all that, it's still a good deal to get 80% off at $20 a month. And if you're coming out there all the time as a local, then it's a cool gig because you get your pictures for a real good price, and you can get it as many as you want as long as it's digitals. So Eric says, sitting on the side of the road doing photography all these years, what comes to mind if you think about something that came around the corner and was the biggest surprise, most impressive vehicle of all, besides that Sea-Doo jet ski? This is one of those things like when something happens or something crazy happens, I'll say, that's what I'm going to say when people ask what's the craziest thing you've seen, and then I forget what it was, after a few years. So it's tough. I've seen things pop around the corner that were, massive. And usually we can hear them coming, honestly, like tractor trailers and things like that. The Unimogs coming through. If you're not familiar with the Unimog, look that up. UNIMOG. It's a big off-road livable RV.
Awesome.
They're pretty crazy. They're pretty sweet. Real tough. DOT popping around the corner with their plow trucks, and the plow is as wide as the lane is, And seeing that thing come around the corner, absolutely using the entirety of their lane. It's like that's not something you want to be on your motorcycle leaning across a double yellow and come around and meet that thing. Jeremy says, do you still have any of your cars? I still have all of my cars. It's ridiculous. So we're in various states of disrepair, but we do have 7 vehicles right now.
We'll start with the first. We still have the Evo. Yeah, it's still sitting out there.
Evo 8, Mitsubishi Evo 8.
Yeah.
Evolution 8. And then the motor's been rebuilt on it.
Like
and
8 times.
and it's like it needs to be put back together and reassembled.
Yeah.
So it's right now it's not running.
So yeah, that one's out there. We still have 2 S2000s, his silver one and my black one. My black one's currently being rebuilt. Can't wait to get that car back home.
I have like 200 and something thousand miles on mine.
240 something, I think. I was 14.
On the silver one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's been through a couple rebuilds.
Yeah, we replaced the motor at actually one time.
We've got our old trusty truck,
Yeah.
the Dakota RT, that
Gas
I
guzzler.
sanded it down like 2 or 3 years ago to have it painted, and just never took it to the paint shop. So I just drive it around in its sanded state, and people's like, yeah, God, that thing looks rough. So they kind of get out of my way and leave me alone.
Yeah.
I love driving it.
It looks wild because it's just so rough looking, but
and
it's got a
then-
big old 5.9 liter V8.
Yeah, it sounds pretty rowdy.
Yeah.
Then we get both still have both 8.6s and the Macan.
Yeah, the blue BRZ is still turbocharged. The white FRS.
Gutbuster!
Yeah. Paige says, I love the Gutbuster. That was the Dakota RT. So that truck has very low setup suspension, and it's almost on the bump. It's pretty much on the bump stops. Handles pretty good on smooth roads and stuff, but yeah, it beats you up on any kind of rough surfaces or anything.
I've actually hit my head on the roof of that truck going over bumps before.
Yeah, if you're on the highway.
Wearing a seatbelt.
Some seatbelt. A lot of good that seatbelt did. If you're on the highway and there's like a real serious, sort of dip, and it's just the right, I don't know, like resonance for the suspension of the truck. It'll basically make the whole truck jump.
Makes me a little queasy thinking about it.
Yeah, it can be pretty rough riding, but it handles pretty impressive. The steering rack's kind of slow in it. It's a Dodge, so
2002. It's getting up there in years, but
yeah, and it's got 100 and something thousand miles on it.
it's still just our old trusty beater,
Yeah.
get everything done truck.
Yeah, we just use it to like haul things around, take out scrap, trash, and things like that.
That's my incognito vehicle I drive when I don't want anybody to bother me.
But the white FRS is, I think it's pretty much gone. A friend of ours is going to be getting it with us probably this week or next week to pick it up and pay for that. So the white FRS is no longer supercharged. I sold that part because it spun the bearings on it too many times. And even normally aspirated, it still has problems with lubrication on those. Those engines just aren't made for the way that I drive, so it's not working out. When you and Lori met, did you both feel this is the one? Was it love at first sight or a friendship that blossomed into love? Inquiring minds want to know. I don't really feel like it was, we fell head over heels with each other. We just sort of started hanging out and we clicked, but it wasn't like, I saw her, she saw me, and we were like, oh, it wasn't really like that. We were just kind of hanging out with some friends, and there was a spark there, some interest.
I figured out thankfully for him, luckily for him, I'd learned to ride a motorcycle before we met, so he didn't have to go through those growing pains of teaching me. And I ended up finding out he was living just maybe 5 miles from where I lived. And it's like, ooh, new riding buddy. Because I didn't really know anybody or have many friends here in town that, I could go riding with after work. So whenever I found out he was close by and he rode, it's like, and then just, you know, I would work when I worked at Dill's Gap. After, that day of work, whatever, we'd go out and we'd ride. We'd stay up at the Gap until wee hours of the morning, just back and forth.
Yeah. And then when I injured myself and she came along to help with that sealed the deal, and she was basically had moved in with me at that point. And her parents have been cool. They really like me. Her family is really cool. I like my in-laws, and they were cool with me, even though there's a big age difference. We're 12 years, age between us, but her parents were pretty cool with it. I think,
I think they like him more than me sometimes.
yeah, I think they were happy to have me be your boyfriend at the time after the last, relationships and things. But yeah, we get along really good. And her parents are really good people. They lived here and grew up here and everything. And we're actually in her grandparents' old house. It was built in like the 1930s or something.
Yeah, 30s, 40s.
Yeah, so they kind of handed that down to us. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty solid. It's been here for a long time in an open valley, and all of it's been a really solid house. So that's kind of how cool we are, as far as the family, and her mom and dad, and her side of the family, her brothers and everything are cool. We get along pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Each of us got really good in-laws.
Yeah.
I got good ones too.
Yeah, my family loves her, and so we all get along pretty good.
It's so awesome that his sister and I share a name.
Share the same name. So yeah, my sisters got married, but her original name was, of course, last name Cannon, but her first name was Lori. So,
and we spell it the same way.
So spelled the same way. And then when she and I got married, of course, she took my last name. So my sister's name is Lori Cannon, and my wife's name is Lori Cannon. Weird. All right, Edwin Aldrin said, so I have a great idea. What do you think the chances are of you guys going in together with Ron and Nancy to buy Fontana and bring it back to life? Let me get that showing up right there. Big zero. Yeah, that's a major. There's a reason, that they always kind of struggle with, staying successful and staying in the green, in the black, whatever you want to call that. That's a lot of headache and a lot of work to maintain what's technically a town. They're self-sufficient. A lot of people don't know this about Fontana Village, but it's actually, they have their own
grocery store,
status,
post office, laundromat,
zip code. Yeah. So they're self-sustaining town, and it's pretty massive, and it's worth a lot of money. And the weird thing about Fontana Village is the land is owned by TVA, the federal agency, and then all the structures are owned by the private party. So they are always at the mercy of TVA, sort of, in what they decide they want to do with that land. But TVA's pretty chill, and they're not trying to cause any problems, I don't think. And but it's just a weird situation. And we're both, as business owners, we're both really busy anyway, and Ron and Nancy don't have time to manage something that complicated. We don't have the experience or education, personally, to manage something like that.
It would be pretty cool though if we did.
Yeah, I mean, we'd have as much fun as we could, but I feel like it would be crazy.
Track down the bottom.
Yeah. And the other weird thing is, Daisy is down here stuffing this toy in between us, trying to get us to play with her unicorn that she won't let go of. The other thing is, since that's TVA's land, then the parking lot and the roads and everything, those are all federal roads. And so when you're in Fontana Village and you're riding around on your motorcycle or you're driving around in your car, you have to follow all the laws as if you were on the highway. And so you can't ride around even in the parking lots without a helmet on there. just by law. That's not like a rule of the village or anything. That's a state law. So you're on state roads when you're in Fontana Village, and you have to follow the laws, and you can get ticketed just like you could on the roads for traffic violations, running stop signs, things like that.
Daisy's pushing me. Big head.
Let's see. Let's introduce one of our other animals here. This is Max. He hasn't been on the live stream yet. He's getting older. How old's Max?
15, I think.
Pause.
15, 16.
We've had him since he was a puppy. He was a stray that came up to
When we were living at Ron.
Nancy's.
Yeah.
And some of the workers found him and brought him to us, and they were like, we found this dog while they were working on a house. And he was like really pot-bellied. We think he had worms or something real bad. And he was just a little puppy, been abandoned or ran away or something, we don't know. But he's almost like perfect markings for Jack Russell Terrier. He has like all white with just some brown on his head and on his the stump of his tail. So he's pretty cool. He's kind of grumpy and growls at the other dogs a lot and in his old age, and he has problems with his hips and stuff. Oh. And his kidneys. He has kidney problems. We have to keep him on a special diet. But that's Maximus, boy dog, Jack Russell. Been around forever. He's been a great source of entertainment, and lots of photos and stuff of him have been taken as well. So, next question. Jason Adamson says, I think we kind of went over this a little bit in one of the previous ones, so I won't spend too much time. The Dragon is long overdue for paving. Do you think they're putting it off intentionally, or is it a budget thing? I don't really have an opinion on, I think, what their ulterior motives are, or whatever, for deciding when it's going to get repaved. It's probably a budget thing, and I think a lot of states and counties and stuff are struggling with budget stuff right now. So I assume that's what it is. They can only do so much at a time. Quit. But I don't think that there's actually any kind of like shady motivation for doing it. I joked around in the previous one, I think there's some people who would like to see it stay rough to force people to sort of slow down, but I think it actually just causes more accidents than anything. And if your true focus on the agency that you work for is safety, then that becomes, I think, an issue. Is like, you really want it to be safer. If you really want it to be safer, then you also want it to be the best pavement it can be. That would be the thing to do, is to keep it paved. I forgot, I skipped one here. I just realized Daniel Kinsler asked, why not put a big red X on the photos of those who crossed the line?
Too much extra work.
I don't know. I haven't really considered it. I don't know. I guess to get the point across that this is not cool. Yeah, because I think there's a little bit of mindset by some people that people are doing it to be on camera or to get notoriety, and it makes it difficult for me. It's like, well, do I stop calling people out? And I think that's very effective way of influencing people to get them to stop doing it. But maybe there's some people who are sadists or whatever. They're just like, I don't care. I want to be infamous, So I guess that's possible. I don't know. We'll kick that around. That's not a terrible idea. We can make the X almost like sort of transparent, Yeah, it's not a bad idea. What do you guys think? Leave it in the comments, and then let me know. Also, I forgot to say in the beginning, if you think of anything that we need to be doing as a business or represent ambassadors of the area or anything, let me know. Suggestions are always welcome, and there's people like that right there. It might be the best idea that's ever been thought of for that purpose for the lane crossing photos, and I never even thought about it. It's kind of a good one.
I don't think we got to the second part, like favorite items, like food, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
That you can't get in the U.S.
I don't think I even did this one at all. Actually, is that another Mikey? Oh yeah, Mikey asked two here, so I missed one on Mikey's. Sorry. In light of the fact that you see tons of people from around the world and probably receive lots of stuff, we really don't. I don't.
A few things over the years.
We've gotten a
but
few,
not
and I
like
appreciate it.
abundance.
Yeah, little dragon eggs that were handmade, stuff like that was pretty cool. But we try not to get, try not to like promote that activity so much. Like I could share the things that I get and encourage that, I guess. But I don't need stuff, and I don't want people, getting too carried away with sending us things when they could be sending it to charities and things like that. So I appreciate it, but if you're going to send things to somebody, send it to somebody that needs it. What is your favorite items that Lori and yourself receive or wish you could get? Food, swag, particular coffee, etc., that you can't get in the USA. The Canadian chips and things like that are pretty cool. We get the ketchup chips and the allspice. There's a Canadian flavor that's on chips that we just don't get in America. I can't think of what it is now, but it's not allspice. It's something along those lines. It's very generic sounding, but it's really good. And
I don't eat them. So
you never tried those? I have to make sure we get some home. But I don't know. What do you think? What have we gotten as far as gifts? I had a guy bring me. I need to bring that thing out here. Where's that bullet? That big.
it's in a tote over.
Oh, okay. I had a guy bring me. I can't even fit my hands on there. That thing is like this big. It's
it's not in here.
It's a A10 Warthog 30 millimeter shell replica. Well, not replica. It's the real shell, depleted, and then I think a wooden replica of the tip, inserted onto it, so it looks like the real thing. It's painted and everything like the real thing. It's really badass. Because he saw where I'd been talking about how much I love the A10s and everything, and the guns are so amazing. And so stuff like that was really cool. And like I said, somebody brought me an egg that they had taken a styrofoam egg and put green thumbtacks in it and overlaid them in a way that it looks like scales. So I had these really cool like dragon egg. He says I'm going to Google those chips. Any other gifts?
I don't know. I was looking around. I changed the stuff that's in the house. Decor stuff a lot, so I put it in different places, but I'll usually put little things like that around. I think most of it's in our bedroom now, but Sean's like, what can I see? It's like there's been so many like really neat things over the years. It's hard to.
I think those are a couple of them though.
Yeah.
I don't want the chips thing is sort of like the ideal gift because it's not expensive and it's something that's rare here, and so I think that's kind of a cool thing to give. But I don't want people getting carried away and doing crazy things for us. That's not necessary. And we have one other. Try not to shake this table too much because it makes the whole camera shake pretty easily. We have one other question. So there was a question on last week's Q&A in the comments on YouTube, and it was like basically who's the history buff around there, and wanted to know a little bit more about that, and that's Ron Johnson from tailofthedragon.com. So he's very studied in all of the history of the area and everything, and he's got a really cool website that he just put together with a lot of that information and photos, and it's www.scenic129.com. So Scenic, SCENIC 129.com. Go check that out. It's a really cool walk through the history of the area and the road and some of the interesting things that have happened over the years. It's got some stuff on it. It's pretty cool. Cool. All right. Anything else? That's about 30 minutes worth of y'all's time. I really appreciate you guys checking us out and continuing to support us. I hope you're enjoying the discounts, or will get to enjoy the discounts whenever you visit. we we had a lot of requests for that when we first started this, and I wanted to do it. I apologize for shaking the table here. The dog is under here banging her big head on the bottom of it. But yeah, we wanted to do discounts from the get-go. It's a little complicated setting all that up and making sure our guys get fairly compensated when the photos, when they're sold, aren't really generating as much income when you get these big discounts going. But we're going to share some of the Patreon earnings with them to offset that, and we think it'll all work out to their advantage anyway. I've got the whole day video streaming on my TV at the same time, Paige says. Yeah, those whole day videos are going to be big. I think that people want to see themselves going by, but they're also very time consuming. I may have to just buy a whole computer just to process those videos, because it really bogs down my productivity when my laptop is processing those videos. The problem is no camera shoots long form videos in one file. So at the end of the day, those long videos, when I get them off the card, they are in pieces, and then I've got to put them all together, and then the computer has to render that one big file, and then you have to do the uploading, and then you have to wait for YouTube to get done processing it and making it high definition. This dog.
We'll just put her in my lap so she won't bump the table.
Yeah, so she won't bump the table. You have to pick her up more. She's not in the shot. Dog.
Silly dog. What was you talking about? I can't remember now.
Yeah, just getting the day-long videos ready.
Oh, yeah.
So the Sunday one is, I think it's about ready to go live. I have to wait until it takes YouTube like 12 hours or so. Well, no, it takes twice as long as the video is. So it takes like 16 hours for them to process one of those 8-hour videos so that it's ready for debut in HD. If I give you guys a link while it's still being processed, you're going to look at it and it looks like 360p, I think, is the standard first resolution that it posts in, and it's not very good. So I don't want people to have a first impression of the video of looking kind of chunky. So I always wait until it's ready before I publish it and put it out there. So that'll be posted up in the Patreon thing tonight. I've also got tonight's highlights going on. Some photos from the mansion that we shot today at Iron Horse that y'all are going to be tripping on. I also did a video walkthrough of it for you guys that I'm going to be sharing in a little bit for the members also. So